Okay, so now you know kind of the scale of the problem. What I'm going to take you through is actually an Onlineaholics road to recovery. So what I'm going to take you through is a few practical steps that you might be able to use to help you kind of get over the online addiction. Um, so to start off, okay, you all told us how like the pandemic has actually kind of compounded the problem, because now inevitably you have to be online, to be on online school, online tuition classes, and your parents are working from all of this. But again, always what we tell you is, you know, the internet is a double-edged sword, and thank God for the internet, especially during the pandemic, because otherwise, you know, none of us would have been able to go on with our work, our school lives. We won't be able to contact our friends. So there's that good side of internet as well. But as I said, you know, the pandemic has really compounded to our problems. So we're going to take a look at a few of the problems that you guys are probably facing at the moment, and look at a few practical solutions we might be able to do, have to address these. So one problem is now currently your screen times are justified. So what I mean by this is now you have the justification to be glued to your screen, because you know you have online school, you have, you know, online tuition classes. So all the hours you're spending online is justified. And then it's a little blurry whether, you know, is this screen time, is this not screen time. Now the problem with this is you can easily get caught to the algorithm, and there's even less control. Even your parents have kind of eased the controls because you need it now. And the second problem, your school is in your phone and your phones are now in school. Now, earlier in schools, you're not allowed to bring like digital devices, right? So even if it's the worst, absolute, horrendously boring class, you're forced to sit, put, like you're just forced to stay and listen. You're forced to have that self-discipline to like really sit and like kind of somehow get yourself and your friends through that class. But now you have this option where you can opt out and just scroll while the teacher is teaching. So you have that easy opt out. Now what this gives you is an easy dopamine snack during something difficult. Now this is why that's problematic. And thirdly, we have the problem of your classroom being in your bedroom. So there's no spatial divide, right? So your parents must have, you know, kind of turned your homes into work from home stations and things like that. And you're kind of, you know, sent into your room to do your online classes. Now, the thing with this is humans are naturally creatures of habit, where we associate different spaces with different activities. So for example, bed equals sleep, and couch equals rest, Netflix, and chill. So when you're doing online classes in school, your brain is automatically telling you, okay, it's chill time, let's go to sleep. So this is difficult because now your body is like really having a difficulty with adjusting to this. And then we have the problem of no time in between. Now, earlier with your class changes, your teachers took a while to get from class A to class B. Now, this is also gone. So you have no time in between. 9 to 10 science, 10 to 11 maths, and so on and so forth. You have no in between time. This is problematic because your brains and bodies are now extremely exhausted. A few solutions to try and combat this: don't make your screen time don't take screen time breaks from your already existing online screen, like online school time. So you have a period of maths, and your break from maths is to go have a chat on WhatsApp, or try and reduce that as much as possible, and try to find different ways to take breaks from that online screen time, because screen time breaks wouldn't actually be breaks. Next, resist the urge to scroll. Try and find another activity in between classes. If the classes are absolutely horrendous and you can't bear it, maybe do your homework from the previous class. So, at the end of your online school hours, you're actually done with your schoolwork. So win-win, right? And then another thing you can do is try and recreate a school space. Now, with this, I mean actually have a table, sit on a chair where your spine is straight, because this is actually going to put your body into a mode where it's telling you, okay, this is learning time. It might be difficult. You might want to shift around. That's okay. But this is really important. And next, take a few walk breaks between classes. Jump up and down a few times, go to the balcony, come back between classes. And this is going to really refresh and recharge your brain. And trust me, this is going to do wonders, even though they seem like very simple things. Now, another thing is, now you all might have, we are really highly motivated to get over our addictions, right? You might have had a chat with your friends and been like, okay, next week we are quitting, right? You might have made a pact. You might have watched some self-help YouTube videos on how to, get over your addictions, or, after a Reconnectors workshop, you might suddenly have the motivation. But let me tell you, this motivation itself isn't enough. it's not going to do the trick. You need strategy. Now, by sticking to a strategy, your chances of success are high. This is why a lot of, rehabilitation programs, even if you take things like, I don't know if you've heard about Alcoholics Anonymous, this is a known, like a group, like a fellowship where, if you're an alcohol addict, you go into the program. It's a 12-step recovery plan where you're with peers, you're actually going according to a tried and tested strategy. So even for this, if you're really serious about overcoming your online addiction, you have to go in with a battle plan. And what I'm going to give you is a kind of battle plan. So an Onlineaholics Anonymous 8-step recovery plan. Step 1. So the first step to recovery in anything is to admit that you have a problem. So I'm Pumi, I'm addicted to Instagram and Facebook. So I admit it, and that's the first way you can, you need to be true to yourself, stop being in denial, and just, because you don't have a point to prove to anybody else, right? This is for you. So you need to admit and realize that you have a problem. That's step 1. Step 2, so even Chris talked about this, you need to start learning about your brain, because your brain is quite incredible. This thing called neuroplasticity, so you can look it up, or brain plasticity is this incredible ability of the brain to change and grow throughout your life. So it doesn't stop at any point either, because it absorbs and learns and changes with what we feed it. Now, this can be both the good and the bad. So if we feed our brain with something good, that's how we learn stuff, right? And we get better at it. In the same way, it also kind of learns the bad things we teach it as well. So here what I've shown you is actually a research that took place in 2017 that showed how the frontal cortex of the brain of a person, this is the area that controls things like impulse control, how it's how the changes in it are similar between a cocaine addict and someone who has a serious internet addiction. So what you will see is this brain has this ability to change, right? In the same way, it can change for the better as well. So knowing this can help you. Third, monitor your screen time. Have a schedule in your day, kind of schedule your tasks. And even we are not asking you to be completely offline. So even if you're going online, schedule a time, an hour or so, and monitor if your usage is high, low, or in between, or you've managed to control it. Which takes me to the next thing, which is control. Now, controlling your screen time, you might need some extra help. So which is why we told you about apps like, Stay Focused. So for Windows, there's an app called Freedom. And then for Mac, for Mac, it's Freedom. And then there's another one for Windows called Focus. So these are a few of the apps I think you can use. So with apps like this, you can kind of block your apps and kind of limit your usage. Another thing you can do is also externalize by asking a friend or sibling, saying like, I'm going to ask for the phone in the next hour, just don't give it to me, hide it somewhere or something like that, And the nuclear option, if you feel like you're completely addicted, is what Sandadev did, which is uninstall the app, delete it for a day, or completely be ruthless, like look at what's giving you value addition. So you can be ruthless and unfollow accounts, unsubscribe, unfollow people who are, not really helping or don't bring any value addition to your life. Because when you do go back online, then the environment is going to be less toxic. So it's going to be easier for you to handle yourself. And the next step is rediscover yourself. Ask yourself, who are you without this device? So if you feel like this without the internet, where you're like, my life has no meaning, then that's a problem. You need to go chase your passions again. Now, this is going to take a lot of work, and it's a lot of delayed gratification. So it's going to be harder to keep up with, right? Because, but what you need to realize is the reward you get from something like this is much higher than those instant, dopamine kicks that you get in a day just by going online. And the next thing is make contact, because this is what we do in Reconnect us as well, because we are trying to do it as a group, because it's a problem all of us are facing. So you don't have to try and recover alone. You can ask for help for a friend, right? You can tell a friend, let's make a pact to try and go offline for a week. You can try and do it together, or even if you falter, you can tell a friend, okay, I kind of exceeded, what do I do? Just talk about it, because you don't have to do it alone. And if you also realize that the problem is very, very big, then you might actually be, at a level where it needs medical attention, because, because online addiction can actually be a medical grade problem. And you might realize that. And in that case, you might even have to seek help of a professional like a counselor or a psychologist to help you through it. And the next thing is to be self-aware. So when we are on our devices, like Chris and kind of Malin also kind of talked about, it's very easy to get lost. It's very easy to get lost in what's happening there, get emotional, get aggressive when you don't have it. So we can really get lost and like lose ourselves. So we need to find ways to be self-aware and to take a step back and observe ourselves. Two ways you can do it, the ones you tried and we asked you to try, is to kind of write about how you feel, journal, or even to try and meditate. Take a minute and breathe and observe your thoughts, because it might not sound, cool. It's going to sound strenuous, but the fact that you have no control over your thoughts is actually a very, very scary thing. If you're going through your day with no control over your thoughts, that's a bit of a scary thing. So the next thing, the 8th thing, is to be of service. That is, help others. So for example, we started Reconnect Us to help Nishan get over his addiction to his fashion blog. So you can do things like that where you're supporting a friend, or you're actually supporting each other. That's what we want you guys to do here as well, is to support friends and people of your age, to like through the PSS you might develop, to realize, okay, there's a problem and this is how we need to address it. And by kind of connecting with friends and being of service to others, you also feel a sense of responsibility, and that can also push you to really get over your addiction. And that way you can kind of set an example, say, okay, hey guys, this worked for me, maybe you want to try this. So things like that. So all of this said and done, we can have a ton of workshops. You can, try all of this, but something you really need to realize at the end of the day is that there's only one person who can, do this for yourself. And there's only one person who can change this pattern in your life or change your life completely, and that's you. So just wanted you guys to take a minute to think about it and really try out some of these steps. Even ask for our help if you need it. Try and help each other even in this group, because I think it's going to be important, like just for you guys to navigate everyday life in future as well, because this is, technology is only going to get bigger and better at all of this. So with that, I'm gonna stop and you can go into anything you guys have to say.